What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to preseason episode 2 of Ahead of the Game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So week 2 of the preseason, and let's get right into it. Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to talk about it. Dillon Gabriel. I'm not going to compare him and Shador Sanders. That it's only the preseason. I don't want to compare those two stats wise. I'm going to basically do just a performance, and I like the way he looked. Honestly, I'm not going to be one of those guys that I'm a Shador fan. I want him to play. I want him to start, but I have to look into what I see in the performance wise, and he looks kind of exactly like Shador, and I think this is credit to Kevin Stefanski. He has his quarterbacks ready, and you can't. And I think that's why the Browns are not gonna let him walk or not gonna fire him because this is a day and age of what have you done for me lately. And I think Kevin Stefanski, he has his quarterbacks ready, no matter who it is. You know what I mean? And Dillon Gabriel, he looked ready. Poised in the pocket. He was making some good throws, and the biggest thing for me was he was converting third downs. And converting third downs as a rookie is big because you get that flow in the game. You know what I mean? Granted, the Browns actually ran the ball pretty well, which made Dillon Gabriel's job a whole lot easier because he was converting third and three, third and four, third and two, like very, very manageable third downs. And he looked composed in the pocket. He didn't get happy feet. Um, and he didn't make, and the critical, not even the critical mistake, the mistake he did make, it was his fault for throwing the ball. But if you look at the play, he had two receivers in the same area, which that's in the NFL, that's a broken play. You throw the ball away, you whatever, scratch that play. You can't have two players in the same area in the NFL. It's not going to work. So he could have threw the ball away, but again, he's trying to make a play. He's trying to fight for a roster spot, fight for a starting job. So he's just trying to make a play. And you see the pick six he did throw, he just forced it. And it's his fault because he didn't throw the ball away again. But he's a rookie. A lot of rookies make that mistake of I want to make a play because I'm fighting for a starting job or roster, not even a roster spot, a starting job. I want to play this season or whatever. But all in all, watching him play, his performance was pretty good. You know what I mean? Granted, you look at the numbers, of course, completion percentage and, passing stats, all that stuff, does come in, but it's the preseason. The preseason is to evaluate your quarterback's play calling ability, his ability to get the play in, to execute the play, and to basically see how he is under these different defensive looks. Because if we're being honest, he really hasn't seen any other defense except for his own because he has been hurt dealing with a hamstring. But all in all, I would say he did a pretty good job. And again, I don't want to compare him and Shador Sanders numbers wise. You know what I mean? Because numbers wise, it doesn't matter in the preseason. It's all about what you see and what you put on that field. And I think he was making the right throws, making the right reads, converting third down. The Eagles couldn't get them off the field on third down. And he looked pretty good. You know what I mean? And again, I think the Browns, they're gonna put themselves in a situation to where you're gonna have to have two rookies on your active roster. One as a backup and one as a third. I think it's emergency, I'm not sure, but one as an emergency quarterback. Because if you put either one of these two guys on a practice squad, anybody can pick them up right off your practice squad. And the way that they look, you can't risk having or letting somebody just sign him off your practice squad, even if it's Dillon Gabriel or Shador Sanders, because everybody knows Joe Flacco is he's gonna start because he has more of experience, of course. But again, he's the guy that's a bridge guy for your next quarterback that's coming up. And again, the Browns are going to have to put themselves in a situation where you have 7 quarterbacks on the roster. Deshaun Watson is still there. Kenny Pickett is still there. And they signed Tyler Huntley. So it's like they're either going to have to put people on practice squad and hope that nobody signs them or whatever. But again, Dillon Gabriel, he looked good. He looked, again, composed in the pocket, didn't get happy feet, made the right reads, and converted third downs. The same thing, Shador pretty much did, except for Shador threw a couple touchdowns, and he did what he did. He's more accurate in the pocket and stuff like that. But again, this is about Dillon Gabriel, and I'm not sure if you guys seen what Dillon Gabriel said after the game, which he kind of went back on it, but he took shots at Shador Sanders because I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of context. After the game, Dillon Gabriel said, "I'm here to compete. Some people are entertainers. My job is to compete." And he tried to go back on it again, saying, "Oh no, that was about the media. The media is more entertainers. I'm here to compete." But it's too late. You already said it. And if you go back and look at what his coach at Oregon said, Dan Lanning, he said the same exact thing. And who were they playing? Colorado. Who was the quarterback? Shador Sanders. So he said that, and I'm guessing somebody from his team or agent or somebody said, "Okay, hold on, wait, you can't say that. It's already eyes on you guys. You have to go back on what you said." But it's too late because we all heard it and we all looked into it. Well, I looked into it, and you pretty much said the same thing your coach said in college about Shador Sanders when they played against Shador Sanders. And again, it's not disrespect, but it's like if Shador said that, headlines would be Shador said this, he said that. But again, it's Dillon Gabriel, and he pretty much disrespected Shador Sanders. And they're in the same quarterback room on the same exact team. And I just feel like it's disrespectful for him to even put that out there. He could have just said something as being professional as, "Yeah, I played my game. I didn't think I played my best," or "I could have played better, this, and that," and made it a team thing instead of a him thing. And that's why, I kind of felt that it's disrespectful for him to even say something like that, because you can't go back on it now. You've already said it, and it's too late. The disrespect has been done. And again, Shador Sanders, he's not the type of guy he is. He isn't going to take it as disrespect. He's going to take it as a competition, and whatever. But I just feel like it's disrespectful when you can't go back on it. You can't. You know what I mean? You can't say, "I'm a competitor and he's an entertainer." That's out of pocket, out of line. You know what I mean? And this is why the Browns are going to be must-see TV. This is why they're going to be must-see TV. You have quarterbacks, 7-8 quarterbacks on the roster, and they're all battling and they're all doing what they're going to do. But again, I felt it was disrespectful for Dillon Gabriel even to put that out there, even if he didn't mean it and it just came out. Come on, you're a professional athlete, and if Shador said anything about Dillon Gabriel, you know what I mean? "Oh, I played through injuries," or anything, it would have been in headlines. But again, it's Dillon Gabriel, it's not Shador Sanders. But for him to say, "Oh, I'm a competitor and some people are entertainers. My job is to compete," and then you try to go back on it. But again, you look into it, your coach in college said the same thing about the quarterback that you're battling against. Come on, dude. It is what it is. But again, Dillon Gabriel, he looked good. He looked solid. He looked good. He looked solid. And it's going to be a hell of a competition. You know what I mean? And the Browns, again, are going to have to make a choice. Do you have 2 rookie quarterbacks on the active roster and have your veteran play the first 6-7 weeks? Because your schedule is crazy in the first couple of weeks anyway. So they have a choice to make. But again, Dillon Gabriel, he looked good all in all. But the comments that he said, uncalled for. Be a little bit more professional. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, again, if Shador said anything about you, it'd be in the headlines. But all in all, Dillon Gabriel looked good. And yeah, hopefully he can continue it, and we see what's going to happen in this last week, and I'm pretty sure they're both going to play. The next game that really caught my eye, and it's really I really want to get into this because I see a lot of people are comparing these two guys, but one guy has a little bit of more support from their coach and their team than the other guy. And it's the Colts and Anthony Richardson. He needs to have a year to. I think they should start Daniel Jones, and he sits probably the first 6-7 games. If you watch the games, he makes the incredible play, and that's what catches a lot of people's eyes. But he can't do the simple things, short to intermediate. He just can't. But if it's a deep ball, double covered, or man-to-man 50-50 ball, he can make that play. And I see a lot of people saying that, he just doesn't have it. the coach, the OC that helped Jalen Hurts, pretty much get his name out there. He pretty much drafted Anthony Richardson to kind of copy what he did in Philly. But the difference between Philly and the Colts are, okay, Philly, they knew who they had, they knew his limitations, and they didn't try to press him to be something that he's not yet. And they were fully behind him, and they did everything right. They draft Anthony Richardson with the 4th overall pick, and I think that's the big difference. Jalen Hurts was a 2nd round pick, and this guy was a fourth overall pick. And that's why I think it's a lot of pressure for the Colts to say that they got it right because you took him at the 4th pick. But if you look at it, when Jalen Hurts took over the Eagles, what did they do? They ran the ball. They didn't put him in any situation that he couldn't handle, and anything that was passing wise was high-low read 1 to 2, 1 to 2 not there, make it happen with your feet because you have that ability. With the Colts, the same guy that was Jalen Hurts' OC, he's not doing that with Anthony Richardson because he's having the pressure of, I selected this guy 4th overall. I have to make it seem or make it look like I got it right. And for Anthony Richardson, we all knew, I think everybody knew, he is a project player, which means it's going to take him more than a year or 2 to get it right. I even say this, let's put this in perspective, and I'm not comparing the two. The Bills took Josh Allen. What was Josh Allen? I compare them to, they're the same exact player. Big arm, big kid, could run, had the most athletic ability, but he needed to be polished, right? And again, what did the Bills do? We're 100% behind Josh. We know what he can do, we know what he can't do, but again, we took him with the idea of this is the guy that we can see him getting all the things right, and look at him now. The Colts are not giving Anthony Richardson an opportunity to be the best quarterback because they are putting so much pressure on him, and when we knew he was going to be a project quarterback. I don't care if you took him with the 1st overall pick. You picked him based on what? Intangibles. Big, fast, can throw the ball with some velocity and throw hard or whatever. And that's what I seen watching the preseason game. You can see he's not in his head, but he wants to be good. You know what I mean? He wants to be good. And with them bringing Daniel Jones in, I think it's the coach saying, I need somebody that's a little bit more proven. I can't put all my eggs in the Anthony Richardson basket, but I just kind of I don't feel bad for him, but it's like, dude, you can't compare me, or you can't put all this pressure on me when you knew I had these limitations when you drafted me. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy to me. And watching him play yesterday, him compared to Daniel Jones looks like he has a little bit more experience, which he does because he's had opportunities in New York to start full seasons, to have playoff runs, to do this and to do that. Anthony Richardson, granted, he does get hurt a lot. That's another thing. He does get hurt a lot, but he needs the opportunity to say, my job's not on the line. You know what I mean? Even when I believe they had Joe Flacco, every time he would mess up, let's put Joe Flacco in. You drafted him with the 4th pick in the draft because of his intangibles, not because he was ready, not because he was polished, because you were hired by the Colts, right? The OC for the Eagles, hired by the Colts, and you wanted to keep the same way Jalen Hurts, the same play style that Jalen Hurts had. You wanted to have the same thing with your quarterback within the Colts. And you can't really expect him to be on the same trajectory as Jalen Hurts because they're two different players. Jalen Hurts, he's laid back. Everybody wants to get better. But Jalen Hurts, he does the things that he needs to do as his own player to get to where he needed to be as a Super Bowl champion. Anthony Richardson, I believe, needs somewhere that the coaching staff says, "Hey, look, we know what you can do. We see that you need to be a little bit, more polished in your intermediate to short game and reading defenses, seeing the blitz, seeing your hot reads, and basically polish him and say, we totally have confidence in you. You know what I mean? We're going to have you compete for the starting role, but if you don't, it's okay. We need you to sit and see what these guys are doing and see what they're just really talk to him as a player. And this isn't being a player. This is being a professional coach, owner, or whatever, and talking to the player that you drafted 4th overall. And I don't think they've done that. I think they're like, oh, well, he keeps messing up. Oh, well, he keeps getting hurt. Oh, well, he tapped himself out because he was tired. They're not giving him the ample opportunity because they're having the pressure of, we drafted this guy. And just watching a preseason game, he has the ability. I promise you, I watched this game. He has the ability. He needs to go somewhere where they're backing him 100% and giving him time to grow as a player. The Colts aren't doing it. They're not. And it's like, you brought me in here. You drafted me. I didn't sign to go to you guys. You drafted me and expected me to be on this learning curve of 1 year. I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to be polished. And I'm going to be a better quarterback with a better completion percentage. You know what I mean? And again, I'm 100% behind Anthony Richardson. I just was watching the game yesterday and seeing that he has all the ability. He has the ability to be a quarterback. But if every time I mess up, I have to get mad because I know they're going to get mad, that's not a recipe for success. When a guy drops a ball that I put in his hands, it's my fault, as I feel like. He did that a lot yesterday. He was getting so mad. It's preseason, and you could tell he was getting so mad because he knew, God damn, I give the ball to my receivers, they drop it, it's going to be my fault. He knows that. And as a player, you don't want to be feeling like that. You want to feel like, okay, boom, he dropped it, but I put the ball in his hands. Him, you can see he's getting frustrated. You know what I mean? And I think the Colts need to do a better job with this guy that you drafted 4th overall. And, just watching that game, you could just tell he's frustrated. He's frustrated. He wants to be good. He wants to make the plays. And he has all the intangibles. He has the big arm, can run. He has this day and age quarterback. Big, fast, can run, can get out the pocket, and can make majority of the throws except for the short and intermediate. He can make the wild play. He just needs to be polished. You know what I mean? And I think the Colts need to take a look in the mirror. After watching that game, you could just tell he was frustrated. He was. But again, I think the Colts need to do a better job as an organization getting behind their guy. And from the preseason, I believe, that's pretty much all I took. A lot of people didn't play. That's a lot of, what I took from the preseason. DILLION, GABRIEL, and Anthony Richardson, they really, really caught my eye this last week. And I think, everybody else really didn't play. Again, I want to talk about my team. Where is the defense? And they played for a preseason game. The Raiders played in prime time, and they were the only game on. This was the only game that was on. And again, the Raiders defense is non-existent. I know it's the preseason, but the Raiders, I think their big thing this week was stopping the run. They did that, but holy cow, Brock Purdy was just just sitting back there. 5 yards here, 10 yards here. Ricky Pearsall wide open. Again. Where this is going to be a different Raider team this year. This is going to be the Raiders scoring 30 points and hoping that we get a stop. I have trust in Pete Carroll, but watching this in the preseason, I take the preseason for us a little bit more serious because these are our starters. We are playing 100% of our starters on defense. And these teams don't even have half of their offense or any of their starters on offense. You know what I mean? And we're just getting carved. Either we're getting carved or we're getting pounded. It's either, we're going to stop the pass we're gonna get pounded in the run. We're gonna stop the run. We're gonna get carved up to the pass. And I have all my trust in Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham, but this year is gonna be Chip Kelly with Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, and Brock Bowers. And it's either we're gonna score 30 points and lose, or score 30 points and get a couple stops and win. That's just gonna be how it is. Watching this game yesterday, I'm only gonna go purely for the starters. Purely on the starters on the offensive side, defensive. Ashton Genty finally got his wheels turning a little bit. Finally got a little feel of the NFL. They gave him, I believe, 7 carries. I think he heard about the Seahawks when he had I think 3 carries for -1 yard, and you could tell the way he was running. Even in the preseason, he was like, "Oh no, y'all not gonna disrespect me with me only having 3 carries with -1 rushing yard. Nah, let's get it going." And you can see this guy is gonna be good. Ashton Genty is gonna be good. Ashton Genty is gonna be very, very, very good because low center of gravity. He gets lost behind the offensive line, just bursts out of there. And he's one of those guys that can go from 0 to 100 in snap of a finger. And he runs hard, he runs tough, but he can also make you miss. One thing I didn't like was, okay, calm it down a little bit. You don't have to take all this contact in the preseason game. And that shoulder, he had a stinger. I know he had a stinger because when you got a stinger, you like, oh shit. You like, oh shit. Hold on now. Let me. I can't lift my arm up. Hold on. Let me see. That stinger ain't no joke. But again, it could have been worse. This is a preseason game. We know you want to prove yourself. You're top 10 pick for a reason. We know you're special. We know that you wanna. I'm here. You know what I mean? But Ashton Genty is going to be very special. He can do basically everything. He reminds me, like, playing wise, of Maurice Jones-Drew, a small built guy, gets lost behind the offensive line and just bursts out of there. Can make people miss, and he can get you to tough yards. Like his build wise and play wise, he reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew from back in the day with the Jags. Speaking on Geno Smith and Brock Bowers, that they look comfortable already. Geno Smith says, I'm pretty sure if you're gonna play my tight end, one of the best, if not the best tight end in the NFL one-on-one, I'm throwing it. I don't care. They look comfortable together. Michael Mayer, he's gonna get a lot of one-on-one opportunities because you got Brock Bowers on one side, Dante Thornton. I'm gonna get to him a little bit here. Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker. You come in that 12 personnel. Michael Mayer's gonna have one-on-one, and when he was at Notre Dame, come on now. Michael Mayer was a hell of a tight end at Notre Dame, and he really hasn't had the opportunity. And I think with Chip Kelly coming in, a lot of people were speculating that he would be in a trade, but Chip Kelly was like, hold on, this is a guy that I've seen when he was at Notre Dame personally, because I believe he was at Ohio State or UCLA or Ohio State. But he's seen while he was in college, this guy could play. And he was like, no, I don't, let's keep him because he's another weapon I can use. You come out in 12 personnel, usually when you come out in 12 personnel, you have a pass catching threat and a blocking threat, But with Bowers and Mayer, you have pass catching threat and they both can block. So now you come out in a certain defense, you have mismatch on 2 very, very good blocking and catching tight ends. Is a good hell of offense, and I think this year the offense is going to look a lot better, a lot different under Chip Kelly, because again, Chip Kelly, he loves to run the ball. He ran the ball on 3rd and 5. When you can run the ball on 3rd and 5, okay, they're able to run the ball. One thing I did need to see out of the starters was Dante Thornton needs to run more than a deep route. I get he's your deep threat. He's 6'5" and can run. I want to get the ball in his hands. Like every preseason game that I've saw, it's 2 or 3 deep balls. Okay, let's get him out. And he still needs to learn how to, when you got somebody beat off the line, you don't instantly look back, because when you can't run like this and keep your speed, you're looking back. He needs to beat him off the line, run, dig, and then look back, because he has enough speed to run away from a guy. He's still in college. He's still in college form where you beat him off the line, I can look back and still outrun the DB. Nah, this is the pros now. You need to beat him off the line, dig a little bit more, and then turn around, because the ball's going to be in the air before you even turn around, or it should be. But again, I think they're just trying to get they're just trying to, trying to get him into getting, open against the one-on-one coverage and stuff like that. Offensive wise, the offensive line looks a whole totally different than last year, and I think this is going to be an offensive team. The defense, they're either going to be way behind. The defense is going to be way behind, trying to figure it out, more than the offense, or is it just going to be scoring 30 points? Hopefully we get a stop. And that I think that's what it's going to be. But I think with Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham, they're going to figure out something. I don't know who's going to be the starting linebackers, but if Devin White continues to make these mistakes, he's a hell of a player. He's a young player, but 3rd and 17, you can't come up on a 5-yard sit route and let a dig at 15 yards run right behind you. You have to be smarter than that. And then he's missing tackles. Last week he's missing tackles. But again, if Devin White continues to make these mistakes, they have to put him somewhere else, or they have to put somebody else there. Again, I watched this team. I watched the defense. You can't come up 3rd and 18 on a 5-yard sit route from a tight end and have Ricky Pearsall run behind you on a 15-yard dig route first down. You can't let that happen. You have to be aware of the sticks. 3rd and long, keep everything in front, nothing behind. It's that simple. But again, it's the preseason, but it's little things like that can hurt you in a game. And one last point is, I think Tyree Wilson needs to play a little bit more inside. If you take a look, and if you guys can, I want you guys to go look. When he's inside, I think he's a lot more comfortable because of his stance. His stance is way different. Because if you look at his stance on the outside, I think on the outside, he has a lot more to do. I got to contain the run. I got to contain the quarterback if it's a bootleg. I have to notice if it's a run or a pass. I think it's a lot of shit that goes on in his head that he just goes and he's like, I have to get this right. But on the inside, it's control my gaps, read the run or a pass, and get the quarterback. And you can say he explodes off the ball in that inside role, because he needs to do is control his gaps, check, run, pass, get to the quarterback, or get my gap. It's so simple for him, and I think Pete Carroll is going to see it when he watches the tape on his stance. And he can be, and I've always said he could be like Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner type of guy, because they're both 6'6", 6'7" guys, big, and they can two gap. They can play both gaps, and if not, they can get to the quarterback because they're longer with these long arms. And most guards don't have long arms because most tackles have long arms. You get what I'm saying? And he can long arm and bull rush, and he can really control a guy on the inside. That's the key takeaway that I took from that game. But again, the preseason, these were really the three things that caught my eye this past week 2 preseason was Dillon Gabriel with his comments and his performance, Anthony Richardson, his performance, and his demeanor, and the Raiders defense. A lot of the teams only played their starters, I believe, probably one drive, and said, okay, that's it. I think a lot of the teams will ramp it up for week 3 of the preseason next week, but these were the 3 games that really caught my eye, and the performances that really stuck out to me. But again, I want to get into Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. They played tonight, I believe so. They played tonight, and I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Ben Johnson, what he commands from Caleb Williams. My thoughts are, this is what majority of these young guys need, and let me elaborate. Most of these young guys in college today, they get everything handed to them. NIL money, starter day 1. Coach doesn't want to lose me because I'm so good that they can't really tell me anything, or I'm going to leave and hit the transfer portal and get more money and be in the same situation that I am in now. But I think with Ben Johnson, at first, I wasn't a big fan of how he ran his stuff, because it's like the Bears have been through a lot of coaches that try to do the same thing. But what Ben Johnson commands from Caleb Williams is, I'm going to throw the whole playbook at you and see what you can do. This is the preseason. This is training camp. I'm going to throw the whole playbook at you. And I believe it was DJ Moore. He said, this is a lot of stuff that we got to learn. in Ben Johnson's playbook because of what he does and his offense being so, you know, being so kind of like, you know, different than other offenses, because he runs the ball tremendously and he mixes in the run and the pass off of each other to make it look like, you know, the run looks like a pass and the pass looks like a run type of thing with the play action. But he's demanding Caleb Williams to be great. You're the #1 overall pick for a reason. You have the talent. You have all the intangibles. You can make the off script play. You can, you know, make the throws. But Ben Johnson wants to see if he has his quarterback right now. Because if he doesn't, they gotta do something. You know what I mean? And I think this is what these young guys need in the NFL. They get everything handed to them in college. They get a starting role immediately. They get the money. They get everything. You know what I mean? And Ben Johnson is expecting greatness from his #1 overall pick, or not his #1 overall pick, from the #1 overall pick himself. And I think this is what he needs. This is what Caleb Williams needs. He doesn't need a coach that's like, you good? Do you get it? Is it too much for you? Do you need me to scale back? No. I respect what Ben Johnson is doing. I need to see what I have in my quarterback. I need to see what you can do. And again, he even said, right now I'm going to throw everything at him, the whole playbook, the whole thing. And then, you know, during the regular season, of course, I'm not going to have you remember the whole playbook because it's a week by week basis. It's different defenses for different teams. But right now, this is training camp preseason. I need to see what you can handle in the preseason and in training camp. And if is it too much? Can you handle it? And this is, I believe, this is what, you know, most college, not even college quarterbacks, most college guys need. They need to know this is the pros. You don't get nothing handed to you. You'll get more opportunities. You'll get more opportunities because we did invest in you, a high draft pick. But we're not going to sit here and hold your hand and do this and, oh, you know, it's only no. And I respect Ben Johnson for holding his quarterback accountable. And this is what I think a lot of the young guys need. And the Bears need this as well, to be held accountable. You know what I mean? Held accountable because we drafted you this high for a reason. And this is a different regime. You know what I mean? I don't know how Ben Johnson is how he's gonna coach or how he's gonna be, but starting off, I like it. Hold your guy accountable. See what he can do. Don't hold his hand. Be a pro. Be a first-round draft pick. You know what I mean? This is what these guys need. Because in college they get everything that they want. Again, Caleb Williams, he's had, you know, a lot of different coaching movements from last year, and now you bring in a guy that's an offensive guru. We all seen him with Detroit. But he has a job to do now. He can help you get better. He can't hold your hand through everything. He can't hold your hand through the training camp preseason because, you know, I don't want to make a mad. No. This is what a lot of the coaches need to start doing. Throw the whole playbook at him. You had a good year last year with lackluster coaching. You could do better with me. Just follow me. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think this is not a shot at Caleb Williams. I don't think he's going to fold under the pressure or fold under, you know, having to learn a playbook. But again, I think this is what he needs, or this is what a lot of younger player needs, is to be held accountable, to have that tough coaching. This is what I believe that we're missing in a lot of, you know, the pros, is that tough coaching style, because everybody takes everything so personal. You know what I mean? I should be able to tell you, no, you're wrong. You're not doing it right. And you not be like, yeah, he's always so tough on me. Just be coachable, be held accountable, and be the player that we drafted you to be. You know what I mean? And again, I think Caleb Williams is a hell of a player, and we all, as you know, them all as players, everybody has something they got to work on. And I think Ben Johnson, that's why he's holding them accountable, because we see that you can make the offensive, you know, off script play, the, you know, not on time play. But again, Ben Johnson, his offense is timing and precise. Again, they need Caleb Williams to flip what he does. Right now, it's I need to do the off script play. I need to make a play. And then if the play's there, I can be on time. Ben Johnson's offense is no, you have to be on time. I have him going here. I have him doing this. And I have him being here. Then if that play is covered or whatever happens, then you go here to that off script masterpiece that you can do. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Ben Johnson's trying to get him to do. Be on time. My plays are designed to go here, here, and here. And these are your third, fourth options. If these options aren't available, then you be you. You know, you do the Caleb magic. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Ben Johnson is trying to get him to do. Be on my time, be on your time, or be on time, and then make stuff happen. And I love it. You know what I mean? I've been seeing a lot of stuff in the media about, you know, Ben Johnson asking Caleb Williams to do too much. No, he wants him to be on time, be on schedule, run my offense. I'm here to get you better. I'm here to get you to where you want to be as a quarterback, as an NFL quarterback. And I just think, you know, a lot of the media isn't used to a coach saying, nah, I'm going to do it this way. He's going to be doing it the way I wrote it up, and I have, you know, had success with the Detroit Lions running it this way with Jared Goff, who doesn't have the physical abilities that Caleb Williams has, but Jared Goff, you know, he has the ability to be what Ben Johnson wanted, even though Ben Johnson didn't even pick Jared Goff to be his quarterback. He still made it happen. And I love what Ben Johnson is commanding of Caleb Williams. And hopefully tonight I get to see him play. I'm not sure if he'll play, but I love what Ben Johnson is doing. I love what he's doing as a coach so far, coaching up Caleb Williams. The next thing I want to talk about is Matt Stafford and the Rams. He's having back issues. And I don't think nobody understands, at 37, your back doesn't get better. Yeah, your back does not get, at 37, your back doesn't magically get better. This is an issue. Without Matthew Stafford, they don't even have a shot at sniffing the playoffs. You're going to rely on Jimmy Garoppolo, who also has the same injury-prone history. You're going to depend on Stetson Bennett, who I've watched him play. Hey, he's making, don't get me wrong, Stetson Bennett, he's making plays, but it's against the 2s and the 3s. But you're going to depend on Stetson Bennett or Jimmy Garoppolo if Matthew Stafford can't go. Don't get me wrong, Sean McVay is a hell of a coach, hell of a play caller. He's going to get his guys in the right, you know, in the right play and the right thing to do. But at 37, if Matthew Stafford is having back problems, that is an issue because he's your quarterback. And not to get off topic, but again, say if the Browns put Shador Sanders on that practice squad, Matthew Stafford can't play, I'm pretty sure Sean McVay will say, okay, hold on, let's go get him off the practice squad real quick because we don't have a quarterback that I'm comfortable with. And right now they have Jimmy Garoppolo as their backup, but you can't really be comfortable. I mean, he came from the Shanahan, but you can't be comfortable with having Jimmy Garoppolo your starter, Stetson Bennett your backup, or whoever it's going to be, and then whoever is going to be after Stetson Bennett. You can't go into a season being confident or comfortable with those being your quarterbacks. And again, these guys on these teams or these front offices have to be very wary of putting certain guys on practice squad, because there's teams out there that are waiting for after the preseason, after these rosters come out, after practice squad comes out, to see these players. Because believe it or not, I've talked to a couple of, you know, people that are in, you know, these offices. They watch every game. They have a group of people that watches every game to see these second, third string players that could potentially be on practice squad, and they can go sign up the practice squad, right? So the NFL, they watch everything, you know what I mean? But again, Matthew Stafford having his back issue at 37, you know, you don't, as the older you get, you don't get healed quicker. You know what I mean? The older you get, the more painful it is. The longer it takes for you to heal, or if you're gonna heal at all. So I've been seeing a lot of the stuff about what would the Rams do if Matthew Stafford can't go, and I don't think the answer is Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett. But again, Sean McVay is a hell of a coach. So I think his quarterback, he would have to see what's out there. Again, not to get off topic, but if I believe he's going to be the backup, but the Buccaneers just signed Teddy Bridgewater. You know what I mean? Not to get off topic, but Teddy Bridgewater with Sean McVay, that's a hell of a quarterback coach kind of thing. Because Teddy Bridgewater, he done coached, came back, played, throwing touchdowns in the preseason. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be in the NFL for a very, 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 very long time, because you can see wherever he signs at, wherever he goes, he can play. Teddy Bridgewater can play, and I think, say if the Bucs release him, or I don't know what the Buccaneers are going to do with Teddy Bridgewater, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is somebody that the Rams are taking a look at, or seeing that, okay, hold on, he could get us through the first 4 or 5 weeks if Stafford can't go, because he's an on-time quarterback. He doesn't try to do anything outside of what you ask him to do, no matter where he goes. And again, not to get off topic, but it is the preseason, and we don't know who that second quarterback is going to be for the Bucs. So I think the Rams are taking a close look at what happens with Teddy Bridgewater in Tampa, because he's the perfect quarterback, I think, that the Rams would need, because everywhere he goes, he can run the offense. You know what I mean? So that's one quarterback that I think that the Rams will take a look at. If the Bucs just so happen to release him, put him on practice squad, I think Teddy Bridgewater, perfect fit for the Rams. If it happens, hey, you heard it here first. Teddy Bridgewater, perfect quarterback for the Rams if Matthew Stafford can't go. But again, to get back on topic, I think this injury it's a big problem for the Rams, because you look around the league, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are just sitting there. You know what I mean? Not just sitting on the couch, or even just sitting out there, period. You know what I mean? But I think, Matthew Stafford at 37, having this back issue, and you just paid him some more money, and now he's having a back issue, it's a big problem. And again, at 37, at 37, your back just doesn't get better. It doesn't magically get better. It doesn't. The older you get, the more painful it is to get up out of bed. The more painful it is to go out there and run and rehab and doing all that stuff that you have to do to get better. So I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams and Sean McVay, they're going to monitor it. But again, hey, who am I? Teddy Bridgewater, I think that's who they're looking at to say he can run our team if Matthew Stafford can't go for the first couple 5-6 weeks. And I think that's who they're going to look at. I think, knowing Sean McVay, he needs a quarterback that's on time, that'll run his offense and get players in the position that they need to be. Finally, we're going to take a look at our preseason risers. Again, I told you this was the rookies that caught my eye during their preseason games. Last week, I did all running backs. I think the running backs, Travion Henderson, Ollie Gordon, I think those were the two that really caught my eye from last week. This week, we're going to go, the first one I have to say is Andrew Makuba. I don't know if he plays corner or safety, but for the Philadelphia Eagles. Had the pick six in the preseason, and had a fumble recovery as well. I don't know if that went for 6, but he had a fumble recovery and a pick six in his preseason game. That just shows me he's any time that you can recover a fumble and get a pick six in the same game, that just shows me that you are around the ball. You are around the ball, and these are the type of guys that I like, that are always around the ball, because if that ball is tipped, if it's fumbled, if anything, they're always there. I love those type of players that are just always around the ball, because they just so happen to have to be right there when something happens, when the ball is overthrown, when the ball is tipped, when the ball is fumbled. It just seems like, oh, and he's recovered the interception, recovered the fumble. Those are the type of guys that I love to have on my team, and he seems like that type of guy. Excuse me. That he's just always around the ball. You know what I mean? Have a pick six and a fumble recovery in a preseason game, that just shows that you are always around the ball, and I think that's what coaches look for. That's what I look for. And on defense, are you around the ball? Are you hustling to the ball? Even if you're on the backside of the play, are you taking that angle to get to the ball? You know what I mean? And he's one of the guys that really caught my eye. Just just being around the ball, trying to make a play, making plays, and being there when it counts. The second guy, I love this guy's name. Tesla. That's for the Detroit Lions. Tesla. I believe he played for Arkansas. He's going to be a player for them this season. I think he's going to play the slot. He can honestly play outside. Right now, I don't know who the Lions wide receiver core is. I know it's Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra. But Amon-Ra eats in the slot. So I think Tesla can play that outside guy as a rookie. And watching him, he goes up and gets the ball. At this point, I think the Lions are just trying to get him reps in the NFL system and going against NFL defenses. But he's always making catches. He knows how to get open. He is the typical Detroit Lions wide receiver right now, because the Detroit Lions, they always have the guys that can get open in space, can make the catch, can get the rack. He's like the typical Detroit Lions wide receiver, Tesla. He's making contested catches. He's catching the ball tremendously. His route running is very, very good. I'm pretty sure they're going to polish that with time, but he's going to be able to play in this league sooner than later. I think he's going to be one of the guys his rookie year that's going to get on the field immediately, just because he knows how to get open. He can make the contested catch. His route running is very, very, very good. And with the Detroit Lions, I'm not sure how their offense will look not under Ben Johnson, but their offense is all about timing. So I think with him, he knows how to kind of run their system already. You know what I mean? He knows how to throttle down in the hole. He knows how to sit. He knows where to be at and can make the contested catch already. You know what I mean? And right now he's playing a lot of heavy time in the preseason, because I think they're trying to get him used to going up against different defenses, lining up against different looks and being in places that he needs to be for the season. Because, as a rookie, you're going to see 17 weeks, you're going to see a different defense almost every week. You know what I mean? Almost every week, not every week, but Tesla really caught my eye. And last but not least, the New York Giants have a quarterback. Jackson Dart, they have a quarterback. They have their quarterback, and watching his performance last night just showed me, sometimes as a fan and as a football analyst, whatever you want to call it, sometimes we need to sit back and let these coaches pick their guys. Because when Dayball traded up for Jackson Dart, everybody was like, okay, he shouldn't be picked that high. And again, this is the preseason. But I think they have a player in New York. I think they have their quarterback in New York. And one thing that I was thinking about was, if you look at his college performance, even though, the whole snap count thing was a big deal when he was with Gruden, playing under Lane Kiffin is not the easiest thing, because under Lane Kiffin, I believe they run a shotgun predominant offense, but he runs an NFL offense. You know what I mean? The timing, the routes, the screenplays, the quick game. Lane Kiffin, him playing under Lane Kiffin, I think was the best thing that happened to him, because he's playing in an offense of today's game, of where it's all about timing. It's a lot of quick routes, a lot of, screens, quick passes, read the high to low. And that's what I think his benefit is, because you go to Brian Dayball's offense, it's kind of the same thing. Read your hot, read the safeties, read, you know, if something, it's all about making reads in Dayball's offense and Kiffin's offense, and you can see he's comfortable. It looks like he's honestly, it looks like he's already ran his offense. If you look at the way he played in this preseason game, it looks like he's been running his offense for a while, right? Like, oh, it's hot. Oh, it's screenplay. Oh, I gotta get the ball out. It seems like he's been in his offense already because Lane Kiffin kind of runs this new version of a pro style offense. That's what it's called. He's running this new style pro style offense. It's not under center, you know, the original pro style under center, hand the ball off, play action, bootlegs, naked boots. This is the new age pro style offense. Shotgun, making your reads, hot reads, low reads, hot to low reads, read the safeties, read the backers. You know what I mean? And Jackson Dart balled out yesterday. If you guys didn't watch Jackson Dart play, I need you guys to go check that game out, check the highlights out, because he looked very comfortable in this offense. He looked like he's already been in this offense for 2-3 years, because essentially with Lane Kiffin, again, it's the same thing that he's already been running. And, you know, it's just the preseason, but sometimes as a fan, as an NFL fan, as, you know, whatever, you need to let these coaches get their guys, you know. And I was like, wow, did they trade up to get Jackson Dart and not Shador Sanders? You know, that was me. Again, I'm a Shador Sanders fan, but sometimes we need to just sit back and say, okay, let's see what they see that we don't see. And the last preseason rider for me is honorable mention. I think this guy's gonna be good. Again, has to be Travion Henderson. Like, the plays that he's making at Ohio State, you didn't see it because he was sharing with Quinshon Judkins, but him running the ball, he runs hard, and his quickness from 0 to 100 is crazy, and he's breaking tackles and he's making big plays. Again, I'm a big Travion Henderson fan. I think he's going to be good, but honorable mention again has to be Travion Henderson. He did last week with the 100-yard kickoff return. This week he didn't really he made one very good play. If you can run the ball from 3rd and 6 on the goal line, that's a running back. If you can run the ball for 6 yards in the 3rd and goal situation, you got yourselves a running back for the New England Patriots. New look New England. Don't look now. They're 2-0 in the preseason. But that will be the end of episode 2 for the preseason. Again, this is week 2 of the preseason. We got one more week, and then we get into the real deal season. Appreciate you guys. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. This was episode 2 of Head of the Game. Appreciate you guys. On the next one.